The next thing we'd like to do is give Paul Thomson an opportunity to talk about a quick fix, quick tip. This was Paul's idea in the first place. I thought it sounded great to me because there's a lot of modelers out there that can use a quick tip, and Paul's just the person I think that can help them with it. So welcome, Paul.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Dylan, can I get you to throw up the first picture?
You got it, coming right up.
A little while ago, we had a couple of discussions about glue, and this is a problem that came kind of in the reverse. As you can see, I have two nicely new tangent tank cars. If you'll notice the car that's basically got the black and white, I've installed a Sargent coupler, which is one of the things that I've been doing. But in order to do that, next slide, please, Dylan. I'm not sure if this will show exactly what the problem is, but the coupler has to actually go through a faceplate that is part of the bottom plate. Next slide, please, Dylan. I've tried to sort of represent this here. And as you can see, originally this thing came with a whisker coupler, which I've represented here. This is not necessarily the one that came out, but photographed better. So what happens is you put this thing in on the little tab and the bottom plate and everything slides right in. However, next slide, please, Dylan. If you can all see this, this is the Sargent coupler, which requires a little bit of a spring to be put in right at the front. My problem was with this faceplate and coupler cover, there was no way that you could put that together, put the coupler through, and then try and put this little spring in. There was just no room. So I put my thinking cap on, and next slide, please, Dylan. I decided I was going to glue the spring into the coupler, but I had to come up with something to prevent the glue on the spring and the coupler from basically gluing the coupler to what I was doing this on. I came up with this little trick. It's called Glove from Sinbad. You can also use PR88. And I'm sure that if you go to any hardware store or shop like that, you'll be able to come up with basically a barrier cream or a glove agent. You rub it on your hands and that way grease, oil, etc. won't stick. This is a particularly nice one because it works against glues and the rest of it. Next slide, please, Dylan. So what I did was I put a little bit of this stuff on the board where I was going to do my work. What this was, the intention of this was to prevent any gluing that I did from sticking to the board, or my jig, as I would call it. Next slide, please, Dylan. Okay, I put the coupler in. It's already been treated with the glove. And at this point, I can proceed to glue the spring in to the little front. And I don't have to worry about the coupler actually sticking to my jig, so I can let things dry. Now I have a spring in there that I could mount in the coupler box and car without trying to put a little spring through an impossible hole. Next slide, please, Dylan. And you can see this is where the spring would go. And that's basically my tip for this week. It's a little outside the box, but if you need to prevent something from sticking with glue, try a barrier cream. And basically they wash off with water and worked fine for me. Thanks, guys.